Alrighty, boys and girls, welcome to our next video lesson in Chapter 5, Lesson 5-4, our lesson on solving radical equations. Okay, there are three types of radical equations. Type 1 and Type 2 are the easy types. Those are much easier than Type 3, and we'll talk about each of these here. So Type 1 is where there's only one radical. There's one radical. Your steps to solving a radical equation, a Type 1 radical equation where there's just one radical, is get the radical by itself. Solve for the radical. Once you've got the radical by itself, well, if it's a square root, square both sides. Of course, if it's a cube root, you're going to cube both sides. If it's a fourth root, you're going to raise each side of the fourth. But, let's just say if it's a square root, we're going to square both sides. Once you do that, you're then going to solve for x. Once you're done, very important, in all these, check for extraneous solutions. Check for answers that you get algebraically, but when you go back to plug them in, they may or may not work. So you need to get rid of the ones that don't work. If there are two radicals and nothing else, so there are two radicals, exactly two terms, they're both radicals. Put one radical on each side of the equal sign and square each side. Type 2. Put both radicals, one on each side of the equal sign, and square both sides if they were square root radicals. If they were cube root radicals, then we're going to raise each side to the third power, etc. When you've done that, then solve for x. And when you're done, check for extraneous solutions. If there is more than one radical and other terms, we're going to go through this in class, then you may have to square on both sides more than one time. And this is a type 3, and this requires a little more work, and we shall do these ones in class. So looking at this guy right here, x, the cube root of x minus 2 is equal to 0. This is a type 1 because there's only one radical. So my first step is to isolate the radical, get the radical by itself. So I'm going to simply add 2 to both sides. Whoop, whoop, add 2 to both sides. And I have the third root of x, whoop, third root of x is equal to 2. I'm going to raise both sides to the third power. Okay, so now I get the third root of x cubed is x. 2 to the third power is 8. I'm done. X equals 8. Let's check it. Make sure we have no extraneous solutions. Take x equals 8. Let me get my pointer. X equals 8. Take this and plug it back in. What is the third root of 8? The third root of 8 is 2. 2 minus 2 is 0. This worked. Whoop. That one worked, so x equals 8 is my answer. So in this guy right here, I have x minus 3 is equal to the square root of 30 minus 2x. Notice that this is a type 1 radical equation because I just have the one radical, and the radical is already by itself right now. So I'm actually on step 2 of my steps now. I'm just going to simply square both sides. So let me get my marker back. So I'm going to square both sides. Well, on the left side, I have x minus 3 squared. And on the right side, the square root of something squared is just whatever's inside the radical, so I have 30 minus 2x. On the left side now, we need to FOIL, so go ahead and FOIL that out. Go ahead and FOIL that out. We should get x squared minus 6x plus 9 is equal to 30 minus 2x. You guys go ahead and finish solving that equation for x. I shall be right back. Okay, you should have put everything on one side by subtracting 30 and adding 2x to both sides. When you do that, you got x squared minus 4x minus 21 is equal to 0. Factor x minus 7 times x plus 3 is equal to 0. Set these two factors to 0. Of course, we get now x equals negative 3 or x equals 7. Before I circle this, I need to check. I need to check and see if they work in my original equation. Now remember, we had x equals negative 3 or x equals positive 7. When I check these now, let's throw in negative 3 for x first. So when I throw negative 3 in for x right now, I get negative 3 minus 3 is equal to the square root of 30 minus 2 times negative 3, which is negative 6. So I have negative 6 is equal to the square root of 30 minus 6 is 36. Notice now negative 6 is equal to the square root of 36, which is positive 6. Notice that negative 6 does not equal positive 6, so therefore cross that answer out. Let's check 7, and we'll do that one in green. 7 minus 3, that's a 7, that's a 7. 7 minus 3 is 4. 4 is equal to the square root of 30 minus 2 times 7. 2 times 7 is 14, so I get 4 is equal to the square root of 30 minus 14 is 16. The square root of 16 is 4. 4 equals 4. That answer, x equals 7, checks. Okay, let's look at this first one right here. It's a type 1 still. I just got the one radical. So first of all, I'm going to get the radical by itself by subtracting 2 from both sides. When I do that, I get the square root of 3x minus 2 is equal to 6 minus 2, which is quattro. Let's square both sides. Okay, I got a square root, so I'm going to square both sides. Okay, let me change colors here. The square root of 3x minus 2 squared is just 3x minus 2. And that equals 4 squared, which is 16. I'm going to add 2 to both sides. 3x is equal to 18. Therefore, if I divide by 3, x equals 6. Let's check that. Let's see if that works. Throw 6 back into my original equation. I'm going to have 2 plus the square root of 3 times 6 is 18. 18 minus 2 is 16. Is that equal to 6? Let's see. 18 minus 2 is 16. 2 plus the square root of 16 is 4 equals 6. Is 2 plus 4 equal to 6? Yes, it is. X equals 6. Worked. You guys try that second one, and I shall be right back. Okay, for this second one now, first of all, this is a type 1. There's just one square root, so we're going to get the square root by itself. So I'm going to subtract 1 from both sides. When I do that, I get 2x plus 7, square root thereof is equal to x minus 4. I square both sides. 2x plus 7, square root of 2x plus 7 squared is 2x plus 7, is equal to x minus 4 squared, which I need to FOIL out. I get x squared minus 8x plus 16. Well, now this is a quadratic equation, so I'm going to bring everything to the right side here. I get x squared. I'm going to subtract the 2x minus 10x. Subtract the 7. 16 minus 7 is plus 9. So I have x squared minus 10x plus 9 is equal to 0. Factor x equals 1 or x equals 9. Let's check these and see if they work. If I go to with 1 in the first one, I get 2 times 1 is 2. 2 plus 7 is 9. The square root of 9 is 3. 3 plus 1 is 4. So I get 4 on the left. 1 minus 3 is negative 2. I get negative 2 on the right. Guess what, boys, girls, ladies, gentlemen? X equals 1 does not work. Cross it out. Let's try 9. Throw 9 into my equation here. 2 times 9 is 18. 18 plus 7 is 25. The square root of 25 is 5. 5 plus 1 is 6. 6. 9 minus 3 is 6. Guess what, boys, girls, ladies, gentlemen, and everybody else? 9 works. 6 equals 6. So the answer is just x equals 9. Okay, this is a rational exponent equation, but you're going to solve it the exact same way we do a radical equation, because remember, 7n minus 1 raised to the 1/3 is just the same thing as the third root of 7n minus 1. In other words, 7n minus 1 raised to the 1/3 is the same as the third root of 7n minus 1. So go ahead, folks, and follow these steps. Follow these steps and solve this for n. Okay, you should have found that n is equal to 9/7, and when you checked it, it worked. Let's just run through these steps real quick. This is a type 1 rational exponent equation, okay, because I just have the one rational exponent. I just have the one radical, okay? So I'm going to add the 4 to get the radical by itself. I'm going to add the 4 to both sides. So I have 2 times 7n minus 1 to the 1/3 is equal to 4. I'm going to divide both sides by 2. So this 4 becomes a 2. When I do that now, I'm going to cube. I'm going to raise each side to the third power because I had 7n minus 1 to the 1/3. When I raise that to the third power, I get 7n minus 1 is equal to 2 to the third. Well, 2 to the third is 8. I'm going to add the 1 to both sides. 7n is equal to 9. Divide both sides by 7. N is equal to 9 divided by 7. 9/7. If I take this and plug it back in up to here, 7n, 7 times 9/7 is 9. 9 minus 1 is 8. The cube root of 8 is 2. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 minus 4 is 0. Hey, 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 this works. That's works in Spanish. So let's look at this guy right here. We got a type 1 radical equation because I just got the one rational exponent right here. So first I'm going to get that by itself, minus 5 on both sides. So I get 2x minus 1 raised to the 1/2 is equal to negative 3. 2 minus 5 is negative 3. Now, I am already thinking. I'm already got alarms going off because I got 2x minus 1 raised to the 1/2, which is a square root. It's a square root function. A square root radical will never equal a negative. So I already know weird stuff is going to happen here. But let's keep going and solve this equation. So I got 2x minus 1 raised to the 1/2 is equal to negative 3. So I'm going to square both sides. I'll do that in green. I'm going to square both sides. When I square 2x minus 1 to the 1/2 squared, I just get 2x minus 1. And that's equal to negative 3 squared. Neg 3 times neg 3 is pos 9. So I have 2x minus 1 is equal to 9. I'm going to add the 1, add the 1. 2x is equal to 10. X is therefore equal to 5. Let's check our answer. X equals 5. Let's check our answer by plugging it back in up here. What's 2 times 5? Well, 2 times 5 is 10. 10 minus 1 is 9. 9 to the 1/2 power plus 5 is equal to 2. Well, 9 to the 1/2 power, the square root of 9 is 3. 3 plus 5 does not equal 2. 3 plus 5 is 8. 8 does not equal 2. Therefore, this answer is junk. It was the only answer we got, so this has no solution. Boom. All right, folks, that's it. Have a great day, and we'll see you soon. Bye.